All right, today we're going to talk about the production possibilities frontier. Please make sure that you've opened the notes in the assignment underneath this video so that you can type the notes into Cami, because those notes, the guided notes, is what you will submit once you've completed this section of notes. We'll come back to the essential question after we've completed the notes. So there's a blank box there for your warm-up activity. So the scenario that you're going to discuss in this blank box is you're on a desert island alone. You must survive. The island has only one food source that you found, pineapples. It takes you 2 hours to harvest and cut up one pineapple. You have no knife. You also want to build your shelter. Each piece takes you 3 hours to build. You only have 12 hours of sunlight and you need to complete your tasks by sundown. How will you spend your hours? Record your decision on the student notes. So you can do a list, like 1 hour 1, and list how you'll spend the time. Hour 2, how you'll spend the time. You can make a chart, with food, shelter, and then list how you'll spend the 12 hours. After you've completed that scenario, you have 3 questions in the warm-up underneath there. You'll see these 3 questions. You'll answer them in complete sentences. Think to the warm-up activity we just completed about the desert island. Why did you choose to spend your hours the way you did? So you'll write 1 sentence there. What limits did you face? What trade-offs did you make? So a trade-off is something that you gave up in order to do something else. So what were your limits? You were limited on, you're not thinking about money, you're really time are going to be your limits there. And then what did you trade off in order to make the decision you made? So that's 2 complete sentences here. And then how does scarcity, it tells you here is limited resources, so your time was what was limited there in that scenario. How did your time affect, how did the scarcity of those limited resources affect the economy and our ability to produce? So if resources are rare, how would that affect our economy and our ability to produce products? So you'll need 1 sentence here. So remember, you're writing what's in red. What is opportunity cost? It's the value of the most important thing you give up when you make a decision. So it's the next best alternative. It's the most important thing you give up when you make a decision. So example, if I choose between watching TV and reading a book, the option I don't choose is my opportunity cost. So if I choose to read, my opportunity cost is watching TV. But if I don't really care about watching TV, my opportunity cost is low. If you really want to do both, then your opportunity cost would be high. So let's say you have 2 options, go to college or get a job. And college can be any kind of post-secondary, it doesn't have to be 4-year university. It could be 4-year. It could be a 2-year community college. It could be a technical school like TCAT. So it's any post-secondary option. Your other option is to get a job. So with 1 sentence, explain which would you choose. Would you choose the college option or are you going to choose the job option? And then what's your opportunity cost? Which one, what are you giving up? Are you giving up TCAT to get a job? Are you giving up a 4-year university to get a job? What are you giving up? So what you give up is what you're going to write a sentence about your opportunity cost. So we talked about trade-off in the warm-up. So opportunity cost versus trade-offs. What's the difference between a trade-off and an opportunity cost? Every time you make a decision, there's probably a list of trade-offs you make. The highest value trade-off is your opportunity cost. The highest value trade-off is your opportunity cost. So now, what 5 trade-offs did you make to stay in high school to graduate and get a diploma? So you can just do like a bulleted list or a numbered list. So tell me 5 things that you gave up in order to stay in school to get a diploma. And then from these trade-offs that you've listed, what was your opportunity cost? And then why was it your opportunity cost? So 1 sentence. Which one was your highest alternative? So that's probably going to be your first one, the first thing that you gave up, the thing that was your next best alternative. what was your opportunity cost, and then why was it your opportunity cost? Why is it the next best option? Production Possibilities Frontier is a model for understanding the trade-offs an economy must make when dedicating its scarce resources. This graph is limited to 2 resources and helps us understand the production possibilities for an economy. We can also tell whether the economy is allocating its resources efficiently or inefficiently. So here's an example of a PPF. This is from our warm-up scenario with the desert. So one of our resources was pineapples. The other resource was pieces of shelter. So here, if you watch this line, you've got 4 pieces of shelter to 6 pineapples. So in this simplistic island economy, your main resource was your time. You had to make decisions based on that limited time. What is your opportunity cost of changing from obtaining 3 pineapples to obtaining 6? That's what this graph shows. 6 pineapples. What would it cost? It would cost you 2 pieces of shelter to get 2 more pineapples. What does a PPF tell economists? If an economy is performing at any point along the PPF, the economy is producing efficiently. So anywhere along that line in our last one, so as long as the economy is producing somewhere along this line, it is efficient. The PPF curve is usually bowed out or curved because not all resources are perfectly adaptable for producing each product. Example, different resources are needed to produce corn compared to cars. When an economy shifts production to making more corn instead of cars, farmland and equipment are needed instead of factories. So the graph's not always going to be right if you're comparing 2 very different things like cars and corn. Any point outside the PPF is not possible or attainable unless the economy is growing, new technology is implemented, new resources are discovered, or productivity increases. So the only time that you're allowed outside of that line on the PPF is if your economy has come up with one of these 4 new things. So here's an example of a PPF. Here's the ears of corn from our last example. 2 cars. So anything down here is inefficient. It's functioning on this side of the line. Up here, all of this would be unattainable, unrealistic kind of expectations. So you have to follow along the line in order to stay efficient with your resources and your economy still doing well. What happens when the economy's production expands? The PPF shifts to the right. This usually means the economy is growing and output is increasing, so the economy can produce at higher levels. What happens when the economy's production declines? The PPF shifts to the left. This is usually a sign of a poor economy. So here's another example. So here was the original PPF, and here's a new PPF. So that would show a shift to the right. And here it's going to show a shift to the left. So here was the original. Here is a shift to the left. All right, that is the end of our notes. Please make sure that you follow along typing your answers into Cami. If you needed to pause anytime along the video, that's fine. Please submit those guided notes as your assignment for these notes. If you have any questions, as always, please message me.